Just to first to show you, we have FortiGate 600D cluster. That's how we are going to control the switches, right? And the topology we are doing now is this one. We have two FortiGate 600D in a cluster, right? We have a pair of switches to represent here distribution layer, and we will set MCLAG and full redundancy, right? And then we will connect one access switch to represent the access, and here we will connect some devices. So the FortiPhone, the FortiAP, and a client, so we can demonstrate the features that we discussed. So the host quarantine, the .NX dynamic VLAN assignment, MAC auth bypass, and a single sign-on. And with the wireless, we can also show quickly how we integrate, how we connect the APs to this solution, right? It's very simple, so there's no secret there. So this is the diagram. Here you see VMs, so that will be my laptop. I have FortiVoice PBX running here, and I have FortiAuthenticator. So we will use that to register the phone, and to the authenticator for the .NX and single sign-on MAC auth bypass. Okay. Right, and we have this switch that is connected to the internet for the FortiSwitch Cloud demo, and I will explain later what we will do with that. But the FortiSwitch Cloud is now an alpha testing, so it's very early stages, and we will do. I recorded a video to make it easier to demonstrate it to you, because alpha means it's not even beta, right? So it's really early stages, and I don't want to give you a bad impression that nothing is working. So I recorded a video, because it's really not yet ready to be used, right? So, but I want to share already that what's going to be, right? Good. If we go then to the FortiGate, right? We have ports 9 and 11 that are connected to the switches, right? So we can quickly create the interface. So I'll call it FortiLink. Type aggregate, and then 9 and 10, 11. And that's how we enable for FortiLink. Look, just click dedicated to FortiLink, to FortiSwitch. That's all you need to do. And then automatically authorize. So you have the zero touch and automatic controlling, and the split interface, because we have the aggregate is going one member to one switch and the other member to another switch. So we enable the split interface, so the FortiGate knows that it has two different switches in the links. When we enable MCLAG, then it's not split anymore, because it's just one group on the other side, right? That's the link aggregation group becomes only one. So then it's not a split anymore. It's just going to the same switch, right? From the FortiGate perspective, it's just one switch going that with MCLAG. So we enable split interface, okay. So now this port is dedicated to FortiSwitch. And we can check the managed FortiSwitch. It already detected one switch, right? And maybe you guys can have a look with me in the setup. So there is a command you can run on the CLI of the FortiGate. This is a simple command to check the status of the switches, right? You see they are both up and controlled and so on. Just it's an easy way to check on the CLI. But if we go to the GUI, right, it's there, right? It was refreshed automatically. The switches are detected, and if you edit the switch, then you also get the information about the IP address and the version that it's using. And then in that case, you need to upgrade. You can click update here, and then upload the firmware, and it will push to the switch and do the upgrade. Okay. So we can give it a name. So let's see. The first one, 303. And we call it FortiSwitch this3 1. And then this one we do FortiSwitch this3 2.
I'm not able to see which switch is connected to which FortiGate slave or master.
Yeah, it will show only the master here. That is you see by the serial number of the FortiGate. The passive FortiGate is not processing anything because it's only passive, right? So it will not be listed here.
But still, two ports of both of the switches are connected to the slave, right? Port 47 each.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They are. Yeah. And now if we look, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
For updating, is there a way to update more than one switch at the same time?
Yes. So you can, from the CLI, you can push the image to all the switches you want, and then execute one command, and then all of them will reboot. Or you can decide when to reboot them. So if we open one of them, let's check the top one. Right here we connect to the CLI. So we do show switch trunk. This one is port 47. That's used for the FortiLink, right? And if we check the other one, this is port 48. So that matches where the line is going, right? If you look at to answer your question about the topology. So if we check here, this then going to be the distribution 2, right? We can change the name here. And this should be the distribution 1, right? Because it's 48 and 46. So here you see the 46 is the connection between them, right? So 46 is the connection between them, 46 and 47. So 46 connection, so the 46 is the top one actually. So this is the dot one. Dash one, sorry. Then we go and we enable the MCLAG, right? So let's go to the CLI. That's the only thing we have to do on the CLI to enable the MCLAG. So config switch trunk. Then we have to change the link between them, which was formed automatically, right? You see there the trunk 8, starting with 8. That's the serial number of the switch, right? And the port 47. So we can go here and we can, so port 47 is this32. So port 47 is, so we're talking about the switch on the right, okay? So edit that trunk, and then we do set MCLAG ICL enable. That's all you have to do. And then we go to the CLI of the other one. And do the same. So show, then we edit the trunk between them. Set MCLAG ICL enable. That's it. So now we can check it. So diagnose switch MCLAG ICL. So it will show the ICL ports. So what is used to interconnect the two switches, and the block ports, egress block ports, are the ports used for MCLAG connections. So the egress block ports. And then you have the serial number and the MAC addresses, right? And keep alives here you see in the bottom. And you have drop keep alives because I enabled first in the other one. So this one dropped some packets just to create the ICL, and then it's fine, right? Okay, so we can close now. And on the FortiGate side, right, we have to change the interface. Because remember I said we did the split interface, right? So now we don't need this anymore. That's out. And now, so when we do that, the FortiGate will just use that aggregate as a simple aggregate group. So it on the other side is just another device establishing the link aggregation, right? And we will enable also LACP active. So, excuse me. So then they can run the LACP to have better control of the link aggregation group. So that's all we need to do on the FortiGate side. And we can check that everything is working with a simple command to check the aggregate on the excuse me, to check the aggregate on the FortiGate. So I think you guys know this command, right? From the FortiGate, netlink aggregate, you can check the LACP on the FortiGate. So you see that now you have port 9 and port 11, both are established, right? So it's working with both links. Okay. the topology is like that because you can also see from here that once you enable the MCLAG, it will take some time to rearrange the connections between FortiGate and the control connections between the FortiGate and the FortiSwitch. And once that is arranged, they are ready to go in the control plane as well. So I was lazy actually because, like I said, I just plugged all the cables and now we wait until it will reconnect with MCLAG. So you can also do step by step, connect one switch, then the other, but it works also if just plug all of them. So you see they are back up. So it should update also the GUI. So we have now 2 links to each switch. And now that's indication that we have the MCLAG working. So on the first switch we have 47 and 48. So let's check that. Oh, it's still adjusting the connections. So 47 and 48. And then the other one should be 48 and 46. So let's give it another minute. And then we can also check here that it's up again, so it should update also the GUI. We can click refresh or you can wait, so because it's also refreshed automatically. So now it should be okay. So we have now the MCLAG working, and I just show you from the switch point of view now how you can check that. So we can connect to the CLI of the switch. You can do the diagnose switch trunk list. So here you see there was the question from Danny. What happens with the passive FortiGate and the LACP group? So you see that one port is up. Oh, sorry. One port is up, and the other, where is it? That's the other here, the FortiLink, right? This is the trunk going to the FortiGate. So you see that one is up, one port is up, and the other is suspended. So then that link will not be used. We can also do diagnose switch trunk, switch MCLAG, MCLAG list. So it will show the MCLAGs that exist. And we have now one MCLAG that is going to the FortiGate. So you see that the ports that are used locally, the ports that are used on the peer side, and excuse me, it will also show the uptime of that group. So you can see if it was, when last time it went down, right? Okay, so access switch is connected, and we can check here. So I connected to port 1, like the diagram. So port 1 and port 1. We can check the FortiGate. So yeah, the switch was already discovered because there is some refresh. So we see there is a new switch coming, 248D. And while it's coming up, so there was a question how to upgrade the multiple switches. So we can use this command, switch controller stage image. So it will push the image to the switches, and then you can decide when to restart them, or you can send a command to restart all, and then they will just restart. You don't have to go to each one. You just one command, it will restart all of them. Okay. So let's check the switch. It's probably doing the reboot now. So it was authorized and has to join the FortiGate. So while it's coming up, let's go and start deploying the services, right? So we can go to the FortiSwitch VLAN and start creating them. So let's do one here for the voice. Choose the VLAN ID and we can choose a color. And let's put an IP address. This based on the setup. DHCP server enabled, device detection. Okay. Let's create another one for the managing the AP, right? So if you look where I am now, you can see on the left side it's the interfaces menu. So when you create a VLAN, it's like creating another interface on the FortiGate. Okay? We can go to the interface list, and you'll see that there are sub-interfaces of the FortiLink aggregate interface we created. So it's the similar workflow, right? So let's create, let's change the color here. No, create a new one. Let's say VLAN 200. But so I forgot something. Let's see. I need your help here. In the VLAN for the FortiAP controlling, right? What did I miss here? I always forget that. We need to enable CapWAP. So don't miss that one. Huh? So enable CapWAP so that the AP can be discovered. If you look in the FortiGate interface, in the FortiLink interface, here it says dedicated to FortiSwitch, but in the background it's also with CapWAP. Okay? So show system interface FortiLink. You see that CapWAP is also enabled because, like I said before, FortiSwitch is running CapWAP tunnel with the FortiGate for the control plane, so it will establish secure connection, get the initial config, and then after that it will use REST API to push configuration and check status. So we can do a check there. So let's see what kind of packets are coming, right? So let's run it a bit and I'll show you. It's enough. So look, if you check here, we have FortiLink packets. These are the layer 2 packets that are exchanged for the control. Then you have, where is it? UDP port 123, that's NTP. So the switch has to synchronize time with FortiGate because CapWAP requires time synchronization. Okay? So we also see here that there is the UDP port 5246, that's the CapWAP tunnel itself. So you see the switch is sending, there is some CapWAP tunnel exchange, and then after that it will create REST API connection on port 443 that's secure the SSL connection, right? HTTPS. So all the API is secure, encrypted. Yeah. So control plane is completely encrypted between the two, the switch and the FortiGate. Right. All the configuration and status checks, they're all done in an encrypted connection. Right. So I think now the other switch is also controlled. We can see it there. And here we can check also, right? And now you see the topology changed to show that we have another switch that is now connected, and we have our stack of switches there with the ports that are up and so on. We created the VLANs, so let's now assign them to the ports, right? So we can go to FortiSwitch ports. And here we can, so I have my laptop will be to port 13, if I'm not wrong. So I put this in the voice VLAN. The port 1 is also the voice VLAN, but here I'm doing it as tagged. So native is untagged, allowed is tagged, right? And I'll explain why this will be tagged. And the AP, I think it's port 7. Here we assign it to the native, right? The AP needs a native VLAN so it can get controlled by the FortiGate to get an IP address and so on. The phone is going to be using LLDP. So we are going to assign the voice VLAN as tagged. Okay? So that's why I put it as tagged. Right? So we need to configure the LLDP profile for that port. So let's see if it's already here. Show switch controller, LLDP profile. Yeah. So it's already here. The LLDP profile is going to include settings for the voice, and it has VLAN 250. So VLAN 250, priority 5, and this the SCP 46. So we have QoS for the layer 2 with priority 5, and the QoS for layer 3, that's expedited forwarding. So if you check the table of the SCP values, 46 is mapping to expedited forwarding quality of service. So when we assign this profile to the port, then the device, the phone, will get the settings and then be able to register with the PBX and so on.
Just for the records, this is a default profile, or you created it already?
I created it.
Yeah, okay.
So the default one, there are two default profiles. One is called default, so there are no settings.
Yeah.
Then you have the default ISL, auto ISL. So this is the one applied to the switch ports when they are discovered by the FortiGate. It will apply the default ISL. So all the ports are ready to establish inter-switch connections with this profile. So if you plug now another switch that is enabled for FortiLink, you can plug there. It will use the default ISL profile to discover each other and create an inter-switch connection. Okay?
All the categories, voice signaling, guest voice, those are LLDP standards.
Yeah, yeah. Video signaling, yeah, they're all based on LLDP MED standard. Yeah.
One question, but you must configure the voice VLAN on the port on the FortiGate.
Yes.
It's not automatically, you can connect to port 1 and it's automatically check LLDP and merge in the right file.
Yeah, now, today you have to use the assignment statically, and part of the new feature of dynamically detecting the devices, then it should also assign the VLAN automatically. Yeah. So this is the only part we have to do on the CLI, because it's coming in the FortiOS 5.6.3. That's the next release. So we configure the LLDP on the CLI, and we assign it to the port. So config switch controller manage switch, config ports, so edit port 1, and now I'm going to set LLDP profile to the port. That's all we have to do. Okay? So let's connect quickly the phone and the IP. Then we should start seeing some activity here, right? We can check on the DHCP monitor what devices are going to be connected. And I'm going to connect my laptop to a switch port now, because I have to run the PBX. So let's see that. Switch off the Wi-Fi and let's so I got an IP in the voice VLAN. So I can now go to the FortiGate, and I can also do in the GUI, right? So we have now, let's see if we got the information here. So we have connected to the first port, we have the phone. Sorry, yeah, it's the phone. It was we have a nice new bug to open. It's not a FortiAP, it's a phone. This is the FortiAP. Okay, so we have in the voice VLAN, there is my laptop connected, and let's see what we get on the policies. So we don't have policies. Let's create policies here to internet. So I take this, 200 voice tunnel, okay, and this will go to the WAN. Oh, okay. So I should be able to go to internet. Secure switching. FortiSwitch. But the reason I did that was to show you the security fabric. Right now we can click on the access device, and then we see here my computer, right? So I'm connected to port 13 of the switch on VLAN 250, VLAN voice. That's what I was showing you just in the slides, right? So the moment you have the device detection, you really see in the security fabric all the information of the device, right? And if you want to search for it, so it says Mac OS, right? So let's see if it will find it. Yeah, it found by searching for Mac, or I want to search for my IP address, so it will also search for that. So it's really really easy to find information. And in the ports, for example, we want to find the MAC address, right? How do we find the MAC address? Oh, it's already listed here, but let's say there is a very big list, right? So we can do a search for the MAC address. So 9C is the last octet of my MAC address, and it's showing here, right? Easily filtered. So we can also filter by IP. So we can go to the device info. So who has this IP address? You have this question very common, right, in the operations. Oh, who's got this IP address? So you can search, and immediately it will show you where it is. In the whole, imagine, you have 20 switches. Where is this IP? So you just do one search and you find it, right? That's very powerful. Okay, so let's delete this now. Let's see if the IP is managed. Yeah, the IP is managed. Yeah.
I know this solution from other vendors, but they have the problem that the mobile device with physical cable adapter and Wi-Fi adapter is always two devices. Do you see these devices as one devices at the end on the FortiGate, or is it also?
Yeah, I think it will be two devices. Yeah, because it's by MAC.
Is there no possibility if you know the host name by DHCP snooping or some other stuff that you recognize to bring them together?
I haven't tested it, but from what I expect, we don't have that yet. So we will have to.
Nice, because
yeah,
you can see
yeah.
the client, and then maybe you could see history. Where was it the last time? Oh, I connected my Wi-Fi, and now it's on the desk or in the office again, and it's now connected to the LAN. And the supporter can see, that client was there, and after that he was there, and he told at 10 o'clock he had problems. And you can see if it's connected to cable or Wi-Fi or where was it.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be easier, but
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
correct.
I've just seen a function within the user device management where you can add secondary MAC addresses to one device, but that's a manual process.
Yeah.
Ah,
With the
okay.
MacBook indexed in the user device list, you can add secondary MAC of the Wi-Fi,
Okay.
for example.
In the device inventory, you mean?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Thank you. I was not thinking about that. So yeah, here you mean?
You add it.
Additional max.
Yeah.
Ah, right. Yeah.
But still, it's manual, but
Okay.
it's possible to make troubleshooting with a specific client or something.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to explore this more, and we can maybe do a demo with that also. Yeah. Okay. So we have the client. Yeah, so I'm still connected to internet, and let's check that I can reach from the FortiGate. I can reach the FortiVoice and the FortiAuthenticator. Yes. So let me show you quickly here. We have the radio server, that's the authenticator, right? Dot 100, so let's test that this is working. Yes, so that's good. Then we have a single sign-on server, that's the FortiAuthenticator as well. And we can apply and refresh. And here we have one user group that is PCs, so for our test of single sign-on. Then we have the AP that is already managed, and we have two SSIDs assigned to this AP. One is bridge, and the other is tunnel, right? Let me show you here what we have. So tunnel is the common one, right? With the DHCP enabled, and we have the bridge that is using VLAN ID 200, right? So why are we doing that? Because if we have all the APs that have as bridge SSIDs, they're all bridging to the same VLAN, then you are mixing all the traffic. So for each SSID that is bridge, we have a specific VLAN, so you don't mix all the traffic. And because of that, let's go back to the diagram. So we have the AP that is bridging VLAN with VLAN ID 200. It's bridging to the switch port. So it means we need to put VLAN ID 200 in the switch port. That's all we need for.
Enable .1x on this port?
Yeah, then we need to authenticate the AP somehow, either with MAC auth bypass or with the AP doing .1x. But honestly, I don't know if the AP can do that. But
Are you able to then let the other MAC addresses that you see from the wireless client pass this port? That's most of the time is this problem. You can authenticate the AP and then give him a VLAN, but what happens to the traffic that comes as MAC authentication bypass traffic? That would be authenticated again or something like this.
Yeah, but it would have to authenticate. Yeah, it's not. I don't see that as a common use case, because why do you put .1x in the port where the AP is connected?
Yeah, because you go into the room and the AP is probably pluggable.
Yeah.
And you plug in something that you want to go into the network, and it's not you cannot put the AP always into a secured room.
Yeah, then you need a tunnel mode SSID.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the solution.
Yeah. Because otherwise, yeah, then you can enable .1x on the AP SSID. So you plug you do a tunnel mode SSID, and the SSID is with .1x.
Yeah.
Then the client, when the client is connecting, the AP will execute .1x for the client.
That would be a great feature if you can recognize the access point and authenticate them, and after that disable as long as the access point is there, disable the authentication the rest of the time.
Yeah. It's nice, yeah.
Other solutions do
Thank you.
also not provide it.
Huh?
Other vendors do also not provide it.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But it's
Always a tunnel mode. Yeah.
very interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that's why we assign then the VLAN 200 to the AP port. So I think we still have to do that. So here we can say VLAN 200. Okay. So the phone is connected, and let's see if it already registered to the PBX. So you see here 4455. That's the phone. That's the extension I created yesterday. So we saved some time today. So the phone already connected in the right VLAN, so the voice VLAN, and it was able to register with the PBX, right? We can check that on the access point of view. If we check the FortiGate, we see the DHCP list. We have the phone connected to the voice VLAN, right? So we can see here the IP address is .2, so the phone is connected to the voice VLAN. But we put the voice VLAN as tagged. So the only way for it to work is that the phone did LODP, right? So we can check that. So this will tell us the information from the LLDP. We have the IP address .2, like we saw. It's a phone 175 model, right? The software release, and here you see the LLDP MED settings, right? The VLAN that we sent. So that's how the phone was able to connect with the PBX, because it got the right VLAN from LLDP network policy, right? So you see the value here is that you plug the phone and you wait, right? It will find where the PBX is and register using LLDP for the first to get the network settings. Okay?
In the current stage, you have to assign the 802.1q tagged VLAN upfront to the ports, and later on it is planned to have a dynamic mapping with a future release.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've just enabled LLDP MED on the ports. I would like to use it, and then it discovers, it's a phone, and so I map it to VLAN 250, and it will be automatically added as a LO VLAN 250, which I don't have to do manually.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have someone connected to the SSID. So it's, huh?
That's probably my phone from yesterday.
Your phone. Oh, okay, from yesterday. Yeah. So that is the. So let's look. The device name is there. Look, it's a strange name.
Yeah,
Who can pronounce that?
don't think about it.
So let's check in the Security Fabric view, right? We see there the user. So you are connected now to if we check the client monitor, Wi-Fi, you're connected to the bridge.
Yes.
Okay. So let me connect also. I'll connect to the bridge. I got the IP .3. So if I open something on the internet here, it should generate some traffic. We should be able to see in the Security Fabric. Yeah, so we have another. Yeah, this is me, right? So I have a soft phone here. So let's turn it on. And I think we need another policy on the FortiGate. Let me check. Yeah, so we need also voice VLAN. No, I'm in the voice VLAN. So that should be fine.
But the target needs to be connected, right?
Your PBX is in a different VLAN, right?
It's also the same VLAN. So let's see. No, yeah, I'm in the VLAN 200, right? Yeah. So I need to put here the voice VLAN also. Yeah. Just a quick workaround. Yeah, so now it's connected. And I can, once I have the policy, I can then try to call. So let's see. Good. It's calling. So I'm calling from my soft phone is 8799, the extension here. Right, so if I call again, then we can see here that it says in use, and the phone is ringing, right? If I don't answer, it will take it to voicemail. If I don't, if okay, so let's see where we are now. You see that now I have my iPhone. It did all the device detection, right? It says iPhone iOS 11.03, and I'm connected to the Forti Wi-Fi bridge. Oh no, Forti Wi-Fi. The SSID bridge, and port 7 on the switch, right? So I can go here now. I can quarantine the host, right? Let's quarantine it. Okay. Right, so my phone now should be blocked. What happens when I do this action? Right, just simple right-click quarantine. Right. What happens is the FortiGate is going to create the quarantine VLAN and push to the ports. So these allowed VLANs will include also the quarantine VLAN. So let's wait a bit. So it has to push to all the switches. So this enable is only once that you have to do. So only for the first host that you put in quarantine, or if you enable it in advance, then it will be done earlier, right? Yeah. So now it was enabled. So the VLAN ID for the quarantine VLAN is 4093. That's the default one. When you create a VLAN, you cannot change the VLAN ID. So this will be fixed. Okay. So let's see now that I have the quarantine VLAN in all the ports. Yes, now it's provisioned in the allowed VLANs. So what happens here? When the host is in quarantine, it will send instruction to the switch to move that MAC address to the quarantine VLAN, right? So I'm now in the quarantine VLAN. So let's see if it on the switch side, I can show you how it's done. So we can go to the switch. Connect to the CLI. And here it's a switch ACL policy. Right? You see there that there is one policy that is for QoS for the FortiLink traffic. There is no policy yet for my MAC address, right? So it will take some time because it has the FortiGate is updating the switch configuration for all the ports for all the switches, so that it runs through a cycle. We just need to be patient here a bit more. Right, look. The quarantine was applied, right? So I'm now not able to do anything here. That's what it will add to the ACL policies, right?
But there is quite a delay. We removed your host in the meantime from the quarantine, right?
Yeah.
You should be allowed now, and it seems like it's not really. There is a delay in between.
Yeah.
So removed it. The FortiGate said, "Okay, remove," but the push down to actually it should know the MAC address and on which port the filter, and should immediately remove the filter. Right?
Yeah. So there you have the MAC address is going to the VLAN tag 4093. That's how it's sending all the traffic to the quarantine VLAN. And when I enabled the quarantine for the first time, the FortiGate takes time to update all the ports.
Provision, yeah.
So it will be delayed.
Yeah.
But once that is done,
Yeah.
then after, when you do a quarantine, it should be faster.
Okay.
It should not take that long. So that's. But I'm going to review that, because if it's too long, then it can't be too long, right? So, yeah.
Is it possible with the API that are the REST API that is available on the FortiGate to manage also or to configure the ACLs on the switches?
Yes, yes. This command is sent via API.
From the FortiGate.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can also go to the FortiGate with the API and ask to configure the switch if you know the serial number and stuff like this.
If you can execute API commands from the FortiGate? No, I think that's not possible.
Against the FortiGate, and they will configure the switch, right?
Yeah, what we do is we configure the FortiGate CLI, right? So that will be translated by FortiOS to an API call. So it will send the command to the switch via the REST API. Yeah. Is that what you asked? Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to have another system that feeds the quarantine list or whatever.
Yeah.
With the REST API against the firewall and have the config on the switch configured.
Yes, yes. So you can use the REST API to quarantine the host on the FortiGate. So it will show.
Push it down to the switch. Yeah.
So under this configuration menu, it will add the MAC address via the API from another system, right? And then the switch will push, FortiGate will push to the switch. Yeah. So now I disable the quarantine, right? So if we go back, it should be updated also on the switch level. So yeah, now it looks like it went faster. So let's see if I can browse something. Yeah, now it's working again. So, and I should be able to call again. Now I have to restart the Zoiper. Okay. Okay, yeah, now it works again.
Perfect. Can you just quarantine the phone again? To see
Yeah.
How long it takes?
Yes, yes, let's do that.
I
So
mean, now everything is provisioned, and it should go faster, right?
yeah, so now it also, you see, I have my device there, right? And I can quarantine the host on the FortiSwitch. So I do the same operation.
Yeah.
And we can see that on the FortiGate, it should be immediate, right? Excuse me. And let's check on the switch. Yeah. So on the switch now, yeah, it's not yet, but let's see how long it takes. Then we can we can ask. We have to, if it's taking too long, we have to make it faster. Yeah. So I definitely going to
Actually, the
write
ACL
this.
policy which is created is for the whole quarantine VLAN, not only for your host, but the whole quarantine VLAN cannot communicate to someone else, right?
Yeah, the
Policy
quarantine.
which is created is not regarding your host, but to the whole quarantine VLAN.
Yeah, quarantine VLAN has no IP, so we can
I think if you go back to the policy to the ACLs,
Okay.
which was
Yeah.
created, I'm asking, is it not regarding the whole VLAN ID 1493? So you could actually have that policy all the time, that ACL?
Which one for the
The
quarantine?
one which is now created. Why don't you enable it all the time? Because it's regarding the quarantine VLAN and not your host.
The actions regarding the host.
Yeah, but then you have to add the classifier, right? So the classifier will match the MAC address.
Okay.
But yeah, it's taking time anyway. Yeah, so I will make sure to verify that because it could be something with the switch model. When we test, we have the smaller switches. We don't have those big ones, so it doesn't take that long.
Okay.
So it's probably checking the list of ports, and yeah, we have to look at this one.
Now we have seen it's working. It's just taking some time. That's good.
Yeah. So let's do the .onX. We can check in a minute that it will be applied. Quarantine. Yeah, not yet. So we can assign from the GUI a security policy, right? You can see in this column. So let's check the security policy, right? We are going to create a new one. So this is what we have now. It's just the default. But we need to set another interface. So I create another interface for the dynamic VLAN. So this will be 249. This has to match the value provided by the authenticator, the VLAN ID, right?
You need to change the type as well, right?
To change what?
The type.
Type VLAN, yeah. That's, I think it's the right one, yeah. So we enable the HCP so the client can get an IP address. And we can create a security policy. So let's check yeah, now it's there, the quarantine. Yeah. So it's about 3 minutes
I would say
or more, 5?
No, about 3 minutes.
Yeah. So I will take that as a check. But okay, security policies. We create a new one. So let's do my 802.1x, and we do it MAC based, and we use the radius we already configured, and we have guest VLAN with VLAN 200 as an example. Let's reduce the authentication delay. MAC auth bypass enabled. Okay. So when we have that, we can apply to the port. So let's apply to port 5. Right, so then I need Jonas' help, please. Connect your laptop to port 5, and then you should be able to authenticate. So we can check on the Forti Authenticator. Oops, that's not the... Oh, email and so many things. Okay, FortiGate. In the policy, I need to allow traffic also for this for this VLAN, right? So I add this VLAN to the list, and let's see if he got an IP address. Not yet. Jonas Walker. That's the phone, right? No, Mac OS X.
It's the guest, you assigned the guest 200, right?
Yeah, well, let's check here. So diagnose switch controller. Which port are you using?
5.
Oh yeah, port 5. Yeah.
Authenticate now.
Okay, port 5. So here it will show his MAC address and the dynamic VLAN 249. So MAC address and 249. So let's check on the DHCP monitor. This is not the same MAC address, right? No. So yeah, that was probably your phone. .4, 200.4. Okay. So refresh, and now we see that we have his computer in the VLAN 249 dynamically assigned, right? And are you browsing the internet? Did you connect something? So it should do the device identification, and here we can search. So that's a 10.249. It's already identifying his host. So port 5 of the switch, right? It's already identified. So we can now do the single sign-on as well with this user. So can you please disconnect the cable? So I will configure the single sign-on, and then we connect again.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. So in the single sign-on, we have already on the FortiGate side, we have the single sign-on configured. On the FortiAuthenticator as well. So we have a radius accounting source that is sending a radius accounting message for the clients that are connecting. So the switch is sending radius accounting messages to the FortiAuthenticator. And here you see that it says FortiGate because the FortiGate is doing NAT. So when the packet comes from the FortiLink interface, it goes to the VLAN of the FortiAuthenticator, and the FortiGate applies NAT. So the IP that we see in the FortiAuthenticator is the IP of the FortiGate. Okay? Good. So what do we have to do extra on the FortiGate? So show switch controller custom command. We have to enable the radius accounting on the FortiSwitch, and when we do that, we have to use a custom command on the FortiGate and then apply it to the switch. So show switch controller manage switch. Now it's not applied because we discovered it today and I didn't apply it yet. So config switch controller. Config custom command. Edit one. Set command name. So now we have applied to this switch, okay? So we can, now the FortiGate is pushing the radius accounting server config to the FortiGate. And this is done today with the custom command. Okay? So the custom command is very easy to do. you just have to put this %0A for carriage return, and then you can configure all the settings, right? So if we connect, we can show how it will look like in the switch. So that's IP.4, right? So execute SSH admin. Now we have the radius with the accounting server. So when the accounting server is enabled, it sends accounting request for each .NX user that is authenticated. So FortiAuthenticator will get that and push to the FortiGates that are registered for single sign-on. So then in the FortiGate we know which user is connected. That's the main objective, right? We want to go to the FortiGate and we want to say in the policy that only, so let's create a separate one now. We want to say that only that user is going to be able to access the resource, right? Or only that user group. That's the main objective. So here we are going to select only the authenticated, so the dynamically assigned one, going to the WAN, and with source, and the user will be the single sign-on group, right? And we have to enable it. And here, you always must have an address. So you have to create the policy. There must be always an address. So to be more strict, we could create an address that allows only that address range, but just for the test. Yeah. So now we have the policy with the host, the group, but so we can check the FortiSwitch port is already with the policy, right? So can you now connect again, please? And we can check the monitor of firewall user and show the SSO logons, right? So when he connects, we should get the information here, and also on the authenticator. If we monitor the SSO sessions, it should show up here on both. Did you connect? Yeah, thank you. So we have SSO session on the FortiAuthenticator. That's pushed to the FortiGate. So you have there the user, PC1. That's the username. And that's all now going to allow first the user-based policy, right, that I showed you. So if he tries now to browse, he will be allowed because he's matching the user group. Yeah. But also on the Fabric view, we should also have information there about the user. So now we see that it's PC1. You see the username. So it's all integrated. And then it's probably possible here to search for PC1. Yeah, it will also filter by the username. So that's the great visibility that we can have on the user level as well, right? So that's the what we can do with the latest FortiSwitch 363 of using the single sign-on capability. And yeah, most important is that we can create user-based policies. So the single sign-on, you probably know that you can push to any FortiGate that is registered to the authenticator. So it means if you have other FortiGates in the network, you can push that same user information, and then you can access other parts of the network based on the user group, and not just allowing the IP, right? So it's better, a lot better security.
What authentication did you configure on the FortiAuthenticator? It's a username that Jonas is typing in, or is it the MAC address?
Username. For this test, it's username. Huh?
Is it PEEP?
PEEP, yeah. But we support also TLS, EEP TLS or TTLS. That's fine also. Yeah.
But it's now done with PEEP, with the user.
Username and password, yeah. So we can check on the FortiAuthenticator. It should show the, if I'm not wrong, it should show here. Yeah, no, it's not showing the authentication method, but yeah, it's user PC1. Okay, then what if we connected his user? So can you disconnect now, please? Yeah, so it will just clear the user info. But what if he connected the user to the phone port, right? Because that's also common, right? So if I want to apply security policy to the port where the phone is connected, I have to first do a MAC-auth bypass of the phone MAC address, because the phone is not using .NX now. Okay, so let's take the MAC address of the phone. I think it's already configured. If authentication user MAC-auth bypass, yeah, it's already here. So if we apply the security policy, the phone should still work. So let's do that. We will apply now the security policy to the port where the phone is connected. Okay. So first we can check if the auth bypass was executed. So we can check here in the logs. Maybe I should try to, or the phone should send some packets, so it will identify the MAC address. Let's try to call it. My Zoiper is...
Probably still in quarantine.
I didn't remove it. Yeah. So you see here, MAC-auth authentication successful. So that's the phone. Okay. So SSO, let's see if it was cleared. Yeah, SSO is cleared. SSO should be cleared also from the FortiGate. Good. So can you try now to connect again, please?
To the phone, right?
Yeah, there is a PC port on the phone. Connect to that one. Yeah.
Where does he enter his credentials? As soon as he wants to browse, or just?
The .NX client on the Mac, when it's trying to connect, it will give you a pop-up with the username and password. Yeah. But if you are using certificates like EEP TLS, then it can be transparent. So you just connect and plug the cable, and then it will do it for you. Yeah. So let's check now. Yeah, let's see if there is. No, there isn't. So what's going on? Let's check the diagnose switch controller dump.nx. Now it's port 1, right? So we have the phone. The phone is authenticated with MAC-auth bypass, and this one was tried also, the MAC-auth bypass, but it's not registered. That's the MAC address of his MacBook, but it still didn't get the dynamic VLAN. Did you get username prompt?
No, the pop-up didn't come up yet.
Ah, okay. Maybe it's a Mac thing. I don't know.
Yeah, Mac matches to both, to his client device and to the MAC address.
Ah, yeah. Let's check the port list. Did you get anything, Jonas?
Give me 1 second.
Otherwise, we can clear the authentication, then maybe it will get the prompt.
Did I miss how you did the security policy in my
Yeah,
2.1?
here. So we can assign the MAC-based that is going to allow authentication per MAC address. The user group that has to match what you already have defined. And you can choose to have a guest VLAN. How much delay you want to give to the guest VLAN. And MAC-off bypass, EIP pass-through, that's to support the EIP TLS and TTLS. And timeout override. The authentication fail VLAN is only for the port-based. So then if you do MAC-based, there is no auth fail in the state machine. Did you get anything?
Yeah, .5.
.5? So if we go to the firewall user, refresh, why is not here then?
Maybe the guest VLAN. Because of 1 minute.
Yeah, let's check.
The pop-up didn't come up, but I received the IP address.
Which IP do you have?
.5.
3.
Ah, so you got in the guest VLAN.
Yeah, seems to have.
Okay. So let's clear the authentication here. Can you disconnect your computer? Yeah. Probably the Mac didn't clear the previous. I don't know. Let's see. So execute switch controller, clear switch interface. Okay, so it's clear now. It should do the MAC-off bypass first for the telephone. Can you plug it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It worked. Okay, thank you. So now you are authenticated. Yeah, I see it here. So VLAN 249. Okay, so if we refresh the DHCP assignment, you have probably this IP address, but we can check the single sign-on. So now you have 0.2, and it should also be here. So yeah. And you should also be in the Security Fabric. But now you are showing directly here. So yeah, it has to update the device detection.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, it has to update the Security Fabric part. But yeah, I think I got the idea, no? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it then. We did the host quarantine. Yeah, if we did the host quarantine also for his Mac, it would also work, right? It doesn't matter if it has .NX or not on the port. It will quarantine the same way. And so we did the host quarantine, .NX policies, LLDP med, and yeah, I think we concluded then. And that was for all the access, but there is a centralized management part that we didn't discuss yet. So are there any questions from what we did so far?